Namaskar. I'm very happy to have been given this opportunity to speak to youngsters. It always makes me very happy because it reminds me of when I was young, which was a long time ago. Today's topic is pause to play. A Zen master once said, reflect upon your mission. Silence is golden, and it is the space between the bars that holds the cage. And how true he is. Yes, the pauses between the episodes in your life are very important because they help you reflect upon what you want to do and where you want to go. It's very important for us to do this. I learned it the difficult way when I was very young in my teens. I've always been associated with dancing almost all my life. I was 4 when I started learning, 8 when I was sent to a professional school for dance, one of the best, Kalakshetra, Chennai. And at 18, I came back with a diploma and a PG diploma in Bharatanatyam with ambition and enthusiasm and an attitude of, I know it all. I started, I plunged into it. I started teaching, choreographing, and performing. And I was not in a play mode, I was in a fast forward mode. The overdrive was bound to go and crash somewhere, and it did. I was jaded, I was bored, and I didn't want to do it anymore. This is when I took a break to pause and reflect and introspect and find out what it is that I wanted from my dance, from my life itself. Because those days, dance was not considered a career, it was a passion. And I did not understand why the passion had faded after so many years. I tried to go across and learn other dance forms, classical dance forms, to renew my interest. And to a certain extent, it helped because I realized that Bharatanatyam was the love of my life and came back to it. But the pause also helped me realize the unlimitedness of the art form. And here I was a chit of a girl trying to make it limited and trying to think I knew it all. When this realization came, I started taking an inward journey and realized that I needed to surrender to it for it to get back anything from it. And by surrender, I don't mean that I stopped working hard. I worked hard, but I gave up looking towards a destination and enjoyed the journey of reaching wherever it took me. I've never planned on how my career was going to take me from strength to strength or whatever it is. I've just been in it, enjoyed my journey, and wherever I am today, I'm happy. The essence of life is to be happy, and to be happy, you need to take pauses to reflect and see what you want to do. This was a very important lesson that I learned. These pauses were already there in my life, and in my childhood, these were naturally incorporated into our life without us even realizing it. I would spend hours doing nothing, just look into space or just be spaced out literally. Obviously, my brain still was active to know what was happening around me, and this helped me portray nature. Whatever I am doing during dance, I was able to portray this because of this complete do nothing mode. For instance, we could show the crashing of the waves, the way a bee hovered around the flower, the way the birds moved, the trees swayed, the density of water, the way you splash water, and the reaction of the water falling on you. We were able to do this because this was very natural for us. I would not have made a big deal about this if it was not for the fact that I find that my young students today find it very difficult to identify with nature. I asked a student to show how the wind blows, and she was not able to show the force of the wind or the movement of the wind. There was the way the river flows. You don't end it into this room. You take it wide away there. When your eyes show the river flowing miles away. That is the strength of the eyes that can portray everything. And the pauses that you take in life to absorb all these things. I asked one of my students, have you ever heard how the two birds fight? The cacophony they create when they're fighting. She said, I've not even heard them chirp. I don't blame these children for all this because where do they have the time? From home to school to tuition to hobby classes. Hobby classes are supposed to be relaxing, but I don't know, there's a competition there also to achieve things. So I don't think that is relaxing either. So they don't have time to relax. Where is the time to reflect, introspect, to just enjoy the essence of life? They do not find the time to do it at all. Even if you ask a 4 or a 5-year-old, you find that they're very busy doing God knows what, but they're busy. This taught me that observing and absorbing is very important for children. And if you don't do something very soon about this, to reclaim the art of just doing nothing, we'll find that we have a generation of children who have no imagination or the creativity that is required for art forms. And that would be very sad. When you think of the pauses as a dancer, there are two pauses that are very poignant in a dancer's life, in a performing artist's life, I would say, which most people don't speak about because it is indescribable. It is something that you experience. The first one is when the auditorium lights are switched off and you are about to enter the auditorium. You have a fluttering heart that is stopping because you don't know whether you're joyous or nervous to be out there on the stage. You don't know how the performance is going to be. And that is a pause that is, very, very special. Then there is the other pause that happens at the end of the performance when you are relieved that the performance is over, but you don't know the audience reaction. Are they going to clap the way you want them to? Or is it going to be a wishy-washy clap that says they did not enjoy the performance? These two pauses are something people don't speak about, but very, very important. And as the performer is on stage, as we realize, dance is a movement. It is characterized by a movement. A dancer is judged by how effortless her dancing is, how nimble-footed she is, how high she can jump, how many pirouettes she can take, or how emotive she is. So she is judged for the movement that she performs on stage. But can you imagine the monotony of watching a dancer going from movement to movement, transitioning it seamlessly, very beautiful movements, but does that make it a dance? No. I would say a movement is defined by the pause that precedes the movement and comes after the movement. That is a movement for me. The pauses before and the pause that comes after. Because when you finish with a pause, with a sort of a stance, people clap because they identify with it. So let me show you an example of seamless movement.
Shiva Nandi Para Shiva Nandi Nandi Kittatari Nakatari Kittataka Nandi Nakatari Kittataka Nandi Nandi Kidataka Kidatum Nandi Kidataka Kidatum Nandi Kidataka Kidatum Nam Tadim Ta Dum Nam Tadim Ta Dum Nam Nam Tadim Tadi 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 Nam Tadim Ta Nam Tadim Ta Nam Tadim Ta Nandi Kidataka Nandi Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum Nandi Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum Nandi Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum Nandi Kindatum.
We choreographed it like this just so that we could show you what a seamless movement is, where all the good things are put together, but it does not necessarily mean that you can digest it. It's like when you're given a box of rasgullas, you enjoy the first rasgulla, but when you come to the 10th rasgulla, you are eating it because you want to finish it, not because you're enjoying it. The enjoyment of the 10th rasgulla is not the same as the first rasgulla that you've eaten. So it's like that, it can go movement, beautiful movements can happen, but it's not necessary that you enjoy it. Now do the same piece with pauses incorporated.
ಶಿವ ನಂದಿ ಪರ ಶಿವ ನಂದಿ ನಂದಿ ಕೆಟ್ಟತರಿ ನಕ್ಕತರಿ ಕಿಟ್ಟತಕ್ಕ ನಂದಿ ನಗತರಿ ಕಿಟ್ಟತಕ್ಕ ನಂದಿ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಡದಗ ತರಿಗಿಡತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಡದಗ ತರಿಗಿಡತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಡದಗ ತರಿಗಿಡತುಂ ನಂ ತದಿಂ ತ ನಂ ನಂ ತದಿಂ ತ ನಂ 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 ತದಿಂ ತದಿ 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 ನಂ ತದಿಂ ತ ನಂ ತದಿಂ ತ ನಂ ತದಿಂ ತ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಡದಗ ತರಿಗಿಡತಕ್ಕ ನಂದಿ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನಂದಿ ಗಿಣ್ಣತುಂ ನ.
It is the same bit of music, but here there are pauses that are incorporated that actually are communicated and enhances the mood of the performance. In Abhinaya, we also have pauses. Let me depict a line from a composition where a heroine tells the hero, "Who is the girl who was trying to get your attention on the banks of the river in twilight?" The first one I will do with a lot of hand gestures. நேற்றந்தி நேரத்திலே நீராடும் கரை தனிலே நெருங்கியுமை ஜாடை காட்டி அழைத்த அவள் யாரோ சுவாமி. This is very Angika, where it is very hand gesture based. The next time I'm going to repeat the same line with less hand gestures and with more pauses and trying to communicate with the eyes. நேற்றந்தி நேரத்திலே நீராடும் கரை தனிலே நெருங்கியுமை ஜாடை காட்டி அழைத்த அவள் யாரோ சுவாமி. This is called a Satvika Abhinaya, where you communicate by thinking from within. I think this resonates better with the audience because it is subtle. What I noticed was that in our scriptures, be it in the stories, verses, or in paintings, gods are depicted in a meditative form, a form of rest or pause. Brahma is in Srishti Yoga. He needs to meditate to create. He sits on a lotus that originates from Vishnu's navel. Vishnu is lying on the Adishesha in a supine posture. He is in Yoga Nidra. He needs to meditate before he can take different avatars and come and protect us. And Shiva is the Paramayogi. Although Shiva does not adorn the glittering ornaments that we have imposed on our other gods, Shiva is very majestic and one of my favorite deities from the Indian pantheon. I would request my students to do a shloka that depicts Shiva in a meditative posture.
शान्तं पद्मासनस्थं शशिधरमकुटम् पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम् शूलं वज्रं च खड्गम् परशुमभयदम् दक्षिणाङ्गे वहन्तम् नागं पाशं च घण्टा प्रलयहुतवहं साङ्कुशं वामभागे नानालङ्कार दीप्तं स्फटिकमणिनिभं पार्वतीशं नमामि पार्वतीशं नमामि पार्वतीशं नमामि ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय.
Thank you, Nikita and Ritika, for the wonderful performance. I always tell my students the difference between a good dancer and an outstanding one is the silence in the dance. The silence in the dance happens because of the inner peace. This inner peace is not only in the case of dance. We need the inner peace in all walks of life. The inner peace comes with the pauses that we take to reflect and contemplate on what we want to do and where we want to go. I conclude by saying it is the pause before the play and the play before the pause that makes all the difference. Namaskar. Thank you.